On the show this week, the biggest technology story, the iPhone threat notifications that everyone's been talking about. We get to the bottom of them. Since we're talking about iPhones so much, let's talk about the iPhone 15 Pro Max with all its bells and whistles and compare it to the newly launched GoPro Hero 12, which gives you the best action video output out there. This is going to be an action-packed show on that note. I'm your host Ayush Elavadi and this is Tech Today. Now, a lot of things that are shot on the show are often shot using a smartphone. I use the iPhone 15 Pro Max. I also use the Pixel and the Samsungs. But the iPhone 15 Pro Max in its action mode does a very good job. But that's not what it's primarily meant to do. That's just one more added feature with this device. The GoPro Hero 12 is the latest and greatest from the GoPro stables. Now has a lot more competition, of course, from DJI, Insta, but also from an iPhone. So we just thought this is a device that's always in your pocket. So this being option number one, and the GoPro Hero 12, which a lot of adventure junkies use all the time. So we thought, let's compare the two. If you want to be a travel blogger, maybe an adventure junkie, or just vlogging your way through the trials and tribulations of your city lives. Well, we thought, let's compare the two. But honestly, I'm not in the right wardrobe for that particular segment. So why don't we do a quick wardrobe change and head straight to that review. Techtember, Techtober, and now Diwali. That means you might be in the market for a new device. Is it a new camera? Is it a new smartphone? Is it a smartphone which can replace your camera needs? That's why first I have the latest and greatest from GoPro, the GoPro Hero 12. And if you want to use this as an action camera or a travel camera, then you need to compare it with the iPhone 15 Pro Max. With some amazing computational photography, this one can do absolute wonders when it comes to photography and videography. But which one comes out on top? We're going to do this in purely Tech Today style on this special episode of Tech Today. Well, let's give this a try. I'm running on a wide angle here with the iPhone, monitoring stuff on my watch, and here on the GoPro. Let's see what the output is like on these devices. Well, here's a test I've been waiting to perform, the iPhone 15 Pro Max versus the GoPro Hero 12 in a low light scenario, a moving car. Which one performs better? We do so many car and EV shoots here on Tech Today. Might be a bit wobbly over there, but this is the 15 Pro Max. This is the audio on the 15 Pro Max. This is the audio on the GoPro Hero 12. Let's see which one performs better. You can see that with the bumps here on Mumbai roads, I'm guessing the iPhone without action mode, because there's not enough light for action mode, won't be giving you the best video, whereas the GoPro seems like a steady bet. I don't know if this is a post-pandemic phenomenon, but most of us have a little bit of travel and adventure blogger inside of us, and a lot of that has come through over the past 2 or 3 years. That's why a lot of people purchase the GoPro Hero 10, Hero 11, and now the Hero 12, and they also want a really good smartphone. Now I am using the iPhone 15 Pro Max on 1x, that's a standard lens, what you use normally, with action mode on. And out here, I am using the GoPro Hero 12 on wide mode. I'll show you how wide this can get, I'll show you how wide this can actually get, and then show you what the video is like. This is the audio on the GoPro. This is the audio on the iPhone 15 Pro Max. I'm going to walk through right over here and you can see what I am seeing. This is essentially it. The reference screen over here isn't necessarily, well, on my side. And if you look at the 15 Pro Max, I'm pretty certain with the wide angle, it's fine. Should we go for a little bit of a jog and then I'll show you super steady, which is what the GoPro is all about. Okay, I'm going to increase the speed. Okay, running really fast on both devices. I don't know what the shake is like, but as you can see, I'm running fast. The 15 Pro Max hasn't managed to stabilize as much as the GoPro. Well, I'd imagine that the 15 Pro Max has done a fairly decent job, but the GoPro feels so much more compact to hold. And when the screen comes on the outside, I can understand why people want to use this as an adventure camera and don't want to burn 1,50,000 rupees and lose their most prized possession, the iPhone 15 Pro Max, on an adventure shoot. That's 1 point to the GoPro. So, not the most intuitive interface. They've made it better, but it still has a long way to go before it catches up with smartphones. That said, the stabilization though, I think you can get addicted to this kind of a shot. But it's good to see that with that computational photography algorithm, with all the stuff happening on the A17 Pro, the iPhone isn't too far behind. Whether you put it on the normal 0.5x, but I want to show you how wide both of them can get. So let's burn some more calories. Whoa, whoa, whoa. This camera seems to be getting inspired from these action camera guys. Calm down there. That is the DSLR. These are the action cameras. There's an option, of course, on this GoPro to shoot in 4K, in 1080p, and all the way up to 5.3K. I don't know how useful that is. The iPhone can only go up to 4K. But honestly, where do you use more than 4K in today's day and age? Creators are happy at 1080p, especially with the Instagram algorithm. Now, if you're using digital lens or linear, you have an option of wide, which is 16 to 34 mm. Then you have super view, which is a tall field of view. You get great point of view shots. So I've tried to toggle through this interface and go all the way up to hyper view. This is as wide as it will ever get, and there's no real crop. But the minute you put in 0.5x here on the iPhone, which is the wide angle, it looks all right? But I want to put it in action mode. The minute you put it in action mode, there's a bit of a crop. So now let's see, with all the limitations and all the technology at play, what the output is like on these two. All right, this is the iPhone 15 Pro Max at its widest with action mode stabilization on. That means you can monkey around as much as you want with the absolute top dog, the GoPro Hero 12 in its widest form, and of course, with the stabilization that it offers. Now I'm going to do a quick Usain Bolt lap. I hope my camera guy catches up. Come on! All right. We're running pretty fast. My hands aren't very stable, but you can see what the stabilization is like on both devices. Interesting results. I was just analyzing the footage on both devices. Let me be very honest with you. The GoPro Hero 12 is a big improvement from previous GoPros. Maybe not that much from the GoPro Hero 10 and 11 because hardware-wise it looks the same. A lot of people are saying it's just a software upgrade. No, there's a lot more happening over here as well. The fact that you can do so much more with your GoPro. The video quality is fantastic, but it is still a GoPro in terms of output. It's meant for a different purpose. The iPhone 15 Pro Max is something special in terms of output. The action mode has gotten better. The 5x telephoto lens on this makes things amazing, especially when you're vlogging. You get some great output there as well. If you put in 0.5x to go wide versus the GoPro's wide or super wide or hyper view, whatever they call it, this one looks a little pixelated. Also, if you want action mode on and you want to really compete with the GoPro, it's not an apples to apples comparison because then it crops the frame even further. That said, the audio quality on this, even without using a mic, is absolutely stellar. The iPhone's vlogging mic over here and even the selfie mic do a brilliant job at capturing most of the sound. The GoPro has a few tricks up its sleeve as well. You can now connect this even to, surprisingly and, well, ironically, your AirPods. So that means you can give it voice commands, that's a new thing. And you can also, well, use the audio, especially if you mounted this on your bike or you're doing something crazy with it. We've done a bunch of crazy things with the iPhone over the years, but that's because that's what we do for a living. If this is going to be your primary device, then you're going to be worried about putting such an expensive device on the edge of your car, or when you're skiing down a mountain, or in the middle of the Maldivian Ocean. You might do it if you're daring, but you could be conservative, and understandably so. With the GoPro, it's a different story. Even our camera team and producers go a little wild. They're much braver with this device, though it's not that cheap. It starts off at 45,000 rupees. With the creator kit, it can go upwards of 60,000 rupees. And then you say, oh, this is such an expensive device here in India. This is nearly 1,40,000, 1,50,000 rupees. But even the iPhone 15, the base model of the iPhone, costs something like 80,000 rupees. And this, with its full kit, is nearly inching towards that territory. The difference between the two is that the iPhone 15 Pro Max, with its computational algorithms, really using AI and everything that happens on that A17 Pro chip, can give you magical output. Audio, video, photo, portrait mode, action mode, cinematic mode, HDR, Dolby HDR as well, ProRes. This is an absolute masterpiece. In fact, the Apple event, which just concluded right now, we keep talking about production quality, but it was a statement in itself that they shot that on the iPhone 15 Pro Max. Now, that tells you what this phone is capable of. So we know all the advantages of an iPhone. You can edit on this, upload on social media, put it up on the cloud, share it with your friends. This is that one device. If you're on the iOS ecosystem, move it to your iPad, move it to your MacBook, do all sorts of things with this one device. And the video output is great. But then the price is one restriction, and then the fact that connected to that, you don't want to really damage something so precious. That's the other restriction. With the GoPro though, it's interesting to see how it has grown in leaps and bounds over the years. And in terms of durability, build quality, this is a very tough nut. This is the ultimate adventure junkie device for the rugged outdoors. Strap it on your car, on your helmet, down a ski slope, into the ocean. You can do it all on this device. You can also do a lot of that on this device, but this is a different use case. This is your computer in your pocket, all your secure data, and an absolute monster when it comes to performance. Well, a couple of things have changed on the GoPro Hero 12 if you're talking about improvements, and the biggest problem and the biggest grouse with GoPros used to be battery life and overheating. It's not just here in India or tropical climates. I was shooting in Paris and Champagne. You must have seen some of those shoots with all those cars and gadgets and stuff like that. And the GoPro that we had mounted on the dashboard, which was supposed to be our dash cam, was heating up because of the direct sun falling on it. And then we had some issues with our GoPro. It's a lot better in terms of heat management on this particular device, and the battery lasts longer as well. I've charged it once. We've been shooting all day and I'm only at 40%. That's not bad for a GoPro. So big improvements on both ends. But what do you think about the iPhone 15 Pro Max versus the GoPro Hero 12? Now, we all know about the biggest news of the week, which is linked to iPhones and Apple. In a good way, this is a company that takes their privacy and security very seriously, but it all started with a bunch of opposition MPs and certain influential persons talking about receiving a threat notification on their iPhones. Was their data being compromised? So we will break that down for you, and we've been doing that through the course of the week here at the India Today network. But we also want to do a little bit of, well, future-proofing for you. And by that I mean, how do you know that your phone has been compromised? Not just an iPhone, even an Android device. What are the steps that you can do to prevent some of this? Are there any hygiene measures? Is there a secret sauce? And more importantly, if something like this unfortunately was to happen to you, what is the damage control that you can do? Here's a Tech Today special report.
An anonymous iPhone threat notification has rocked India. Several opposition leaders and many iPhone users have reported receiving an ominous message alert that says, "Alert, state-sponsored attackers may be targeting your iPhone." Some high-profile politicians in India, including Mahua Moitra, Shiv Sena UBT MP Priyanka Chaturvedi, Aam Aadmi Party's Raghav Chadha, Congress's Shashi Tharoor, and many more, are among those who've received this alert. The alert, initially limited to India, is now noticed in at least 150 countries.
The spyware that is being used is state-sponsored. That is also very clear, like Pegasus. The Financial Times in March 23 had a report that said that the Indian government's budget for spyware allocation, surveillance allocation, has gone up to about US dollars 120 million. And they're also getting contracts from people like Intellexa, which have been named in the Predator report.
हमने इसमें investigation order कर दिया है already.
The government of India has already started investigating this matter and has even sent a notice to Apple asking to cooperate in this matter.
Apple has already clarified that their encryption system is of highest possible order. They've also clarified and issued a statement saying that this kind of advisory has been issued in 150 countries.
What's a threat notification really? Well, Apple's threat notifications are a way of alerting users that their phones are being targeted by so-called state-sponsored attackers. Apple has also developed a system where it recognizes activities that matches certain patterns and sends out threat notification to users via email or iMessage to affected users' Apple ID. Now, Apple has revealed that state-sponsored attackers are not your average cyber criminals. They are exceptionally resourced and target a very small number of specific individuals and their devices, making these attacks much harder to really detect and prevent. These attacks are highly complex. It costs millions of dollars to develop and often have a short shelf life. Apple has stated that it cannot really disclose information about what causes the company to send out these notifications, as that can help attackers adapt their behavior to evade detection in the future. But what about non-Apple users? Is there a chance that they might also have been subjected to such attacks? Are they still unaware of it? The tech giant has also clarified that it's very possible that some Apple threat notifications may be false alarms, or that some attacks are not detected at all.
I think this kind of notification needs to be a wake-up call for all stakeholders, that let's not take cybersecurity for granted. Let's adopt cybersecurity as a way of life.
Apple has said that since enabling the feature in November 2021, these threat notifications have been sent to individuals whose accounts are in nearly 150 countries. Well, to safeguard your Apple device from such harmful attacks, you need to know 5 things. Number 1, whether it's your phone or laptop, keeping your device updated is really very important for safety. Also, always make sure that your device is secured with a passcode to avoid any immediate attack. Number 2, always use two-factor authentication, which will add an extra layer of security to your device. Number 3, always refrain from clicking random links and downloading random files via SMS or any other source. Make sure to download authenticated apps from official app stores of the phones only. Number 4, if you suspect that you are being targeted on any Apple device like an iPhone or a MacBook, then you can use the lockdown mode for extreme protection. But lockdown mode, well, this really restricts access to many services. You can find this option though in the privacy and security features in your settings. Number 5, in addition to these steps, you can also get your device forensically examined for any kind of malware. But for this, you will have to submit your device for that test. Well, all this only reveals that all users now must be very well aware of such measures and use their devices with some level of safety measures. Adopt it so that you can avoid such situations. As for the ongoing episode here about Snoopgate, well, we're going to wait and see the reasons to why it all began in the first place.
Okay, I think we're done with shoot for today, but okay, there's a bunch of emails, social media notifications showing up here on CarPlay, and a lot of your questions. Now, it's important to answer some of these questions because we clearly have very cool reviews lined up for you and all the top conversations from the world of tech. But some of your questions are interesting since we are actually. Well, so the first question is from Arun. Arun, thanks so much for tuning in to Tech Today. And he asks, which is one of the best luxury SUVs you've driven in the last few episodes? Now, you've obviously seen a bunch of them, like the Land Rover Defender. You've also seen some of the smaller ones, and we've seen the BMWs, the Mercedes, and we happen to be in a very special one as well, the Jeep Grand Cherokee. You mustn't have seen much content on this particular vehicle, but it is a big, bold statement from this born in the USA brand. Iconic in terms of off-roading, but if you're comparing this, perhaps I think your queries particularly to do with the Defender and this particular vehicle, well, let me tell you what this one's all about. The Grand Cherokee is obviously a little lower in terms of that ride height compared to the Defender. You're much higher up, and that air suspension really makes you feel a lot more inflated and higher as well. Of course, the Defender is also a little bit more expensive, but around 80 lakhs, this car doesn't seem so much like a luxury SUV from the outside. Things don't look very different. It is massive, and it feels even more massive when you get in and sit here in the driver or passenger seat. And it's a very different experience for both of them, all thanks to the tech. The interiors, the design, and the tech is the differentiator in the Grand Cherokee this time around, and we're quite pleasantly surprised with the cabin. Very slick, leather on top over here, a 10.1-inch infotainment screen, which gets the job done. I'll come to it. But if you're the passenger and you don't want to disturb the driver, there's a secondary screen over here where you can do almost everything that you could do over here. It also has a privacy guard, so I can't really see what's on that screen whilst I'm talking to you, but the passenger can consume content on it. Plug in your HDMI and you can be watching your favorite shows, maybe Tech Today as well. There's also, well, USB sockets right here. You have an aux port, USB-A, USB-C sockets. And while a lot of the work can be done on this touchscreen infotainment system, what's good to see is that they've still kept all their hard touch buttons as well. When you talk about the infotainment system, there's a bunch of tech features over here that really work. If you get into the settings right here, a very different font from PV Pro on the Jaguar Land Rover, very different layout from the BMWs and Mercedes, but it is simplistic and it's really not that fancy and all the bells and whistles. You have all the off-roading features right here from vehicle dynamics, pitch and roll. This, at the heart of it, as different as it looks from a Defender, is very similar in terms of DNA. They might be long-lost brothers from another world because they are both off-roaders and they have that smash of luxury that perhaps seems to be the way forward. If you have a forward-facing camera right here, you can clean it. Even the rear-facing camera can also give you quite a good shot of what's behind. Very, very clear adaptive controls here. And if you want the rear view, in this particular vehicle, the only place where I've seen such a clean camera and such a clear camera is across the Land Rover lineup. I think it's great that you're getting this in other vehicles. Competition's always good. You have a bunch of modes over here: sand, mud, snow, auto and sport. The car is quite powerful, but if you want all those features, well, that's going to be in our extensive Tech Today review. Very quickly, I want to show you a few more controls over here. There's mirror dimmers, passenger screen power, rear view camera. You can do all those things over here. You also have buttons to do them right on top over here. Bunch of ADAS features, from auto emergency braking to active lane management. And you obviously get a little bit of vibration plus steering assist. You can decide whether you want a low, medium, high version of how much the lane keep assist really steers you back into the right lane. It's quite a task here in Mumbai and in Mumbai traffic. Park sensing, front park sensing. There's a whole bunch of features, tech features, which can be managed on this screen. But if you're confused between this one and the Defender, look, the Defender is slightly more expensive. You get a lot more variants here in India with the Defender as well. If you want the longer one, you want, well, more seating, you have all those options on the Defender. This one comes in a 2-litre petrol. Both of them are fuel guzzlers, but for the off-roading bit, I just feel the Defender, for me, is a very commanding presence. That said, this car is much improved in the tech department, and honestly, it's quite a joy to drive. Full review on Tech Today, but let's get to the next question. The next question is from our Tech Today viewer Tara, who asks, what do you think of smart rings? Yes, there's been a sudden influx of smart rings in the market. I've been testing a few for the past couple of months. This one is the Luna ring by Indian startup Noise, and honestly, in terms of value for money and what it packs in this one particular ring, well, I think this is quite a genius solution when it comes to wearables. You can't always wear your watch, especially when you're sleeping. Also, charging it every day is a little bit of a pain. This one lasts me at least 5 to 7 days on a single charge. I wear it when I'm playing football, I wear it when I'm going for a swim. I also wear it for sleep tracking, which is quite accurate if you ask me, the sleep tracking abilities of this particular wearable. And then of course you have heart rate sensors, you have all the usual things that come with wearables, but fairly accurate without having to charge it every day. The real USP of this particular product, the Luna ring, is the fact that you do not need a subscription. Pay one time and you get all those insights, quite unlike the other wearables in the market, especially around the world. With the Aura ring and other products, you have to pay a monthly recurring subscription. We're going to give you the full review on Tech Today, but honestly, I think this is the future. One piece of the future when it comes to wearable tech. From security alerts on your smartphone to comparing your smartphone camera to the latest action cameras. Also, what's really happening in the billionaire space race? What is this new technology from up above? And all your queries about automotive and wearables answered on one action-packed episode of Tech Today. We as a team have enjoyed putting this content together for you. We hope you've enjoyed. Have you? Do let us know on our social media handles. This is your host Ayush Alavadi saying thank you so much for being an amazing audience. Until next week, adios.